Yo, what is up everybody? It's your boy Daniel, or also known as Dex, or whatever you prefer. Today I'm kind of feeling kind of sick, so there's going to be a lackluster of videos due to the fact that I'm not feeling too well. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Today we're going to try something a bit interesting, what a lot of people keep forgetting. This right here is my GTX 1070, 8 gig. Looking good. Display ports, a lot of them. Very fan design, 8-pin connector, nice backplate. And if you would look closely, kinda disgusting in some places. So let's just try maybe some replacing the thermal pads and the thermal paste. Since a lot of people clearly never have actually done it and think that that's not actually something you need to do. That's false. Since you need to actually do it fairly fairly often, not gonna lie. Alright, so let's see, let's grab my screwdriver set, but you can use anything, just not to strip the screws, the main thing is. So, just throw it aside. First we'll take out the 4 center screws that hold on to cooler. And then we're going to remove the 3 screws clearly on this side that hold on the other part of the heatsink. So remove them and keep them in the same place. I'm just gonna put them all right here. Make sure to not mix them up. That's why I'm putting like the 4 screws right here for the front part, like for this part, and these 3 on like this side. So then pick up the card and try to gently, first you'll make sure that all the screws are gone. None of the video outputs are holding the cooler on, so gently pry apart until it splits like this. Disconnect all the wires, because on this particular model there's 3 different wires for certain things. There we go, there's the card itself. Thermal pads seriously could look to be replaced. Those ones are from the factory, but yeah, there were wires right here, and right here connected. This was for RGB, and these ones probably were for the fans. Alright, let's get to cleaning. I've already kind of like replaced thermal paste on this, but so people would know. Just grab like any rag or anything like that's clean, and just first you can rub off all the thermal stuff. Just be careful and not chipping or using anything hard to crack the die. If you crack this chip in the middle, your graphics card is done for. There's nothing you can do to bring it back after it's been cracked. Nice and shiny. So let's see now. Now we need to also, well, before we even get started, first of all you need is, well, thermal paste in general. I got this jar of Gambird thermal paste, which I personally use a lot, so that's why I have a jar rather than a syringe. And some thermal pads. These are 1 mil thick, but better look online what exactly ones you need. I actually just need 1 mils. So we'll clean off all the goo. Like, look at this, Jesus Christ. Look at it, it's all dark. Like, you could use some like rubbing alcohol or some stuff, but honestly, like, just give it a good wiping and you'll be good. Just like make sure it's cleaned off, and then just start with the thermal pads. First thing, so let me unpackage them. Also, a lot of people don't know probably how thermal pads are like cut or something. It's honestly not that hard. You just grab a pair of scissors, line up the things you wanted to like cover. Like for example, these memory chips that are on the card, those need to be covered. The power delivery right here needs to be covered. So just line it up, or you can just do it like lazy mode, and you can just use these old ones, but you can clearly see. Let me try and line it up on camera. Like honestly, you can just see how it's like stuck on there, and it's like disintegrating as I'm pulling it off. Like, Jesus Christ, it's like freaking bubble gum. That's how that's how you can tell if this is old or not. If it's like sticky like bubble gum, yeah, it needs to be replaced. Because we can clearly see that these 1 mil thick pads are no longer 1 mils. There's like 0.5 of a mil at this point. Since also this is my only 1070, I kind of want to be careful with this. So, and also the thing is that thermal pads, like you can see, I'm playing, doing this with my hands and they're not sticking. It's because they have 2 layers of plastic on both sides, which you'll need to peel off once you have cut it down to size. So, for example, we could just like layer it like here. Carefully cut it. Freaking scissors aren't the best, but I'm trying. So, so we cut that piece off. I cut this long strip off. That's supposed to go right here. So, well, you can actually even see, like, can't really tell. Camera, focus. You can see how it's like reflective. That's how you can tell if there's anything on. Like, see, this side's reflective, and also sort of this. It's supposed to be like matte. So, okay, we got one side. And I honestly suggest to do it like this. So you now peel one side, put it on, line it up actually correctly, cut off the excess because there's clearly a bit too much. And you can see that this actually square could cover up a memory chip, so nothing's getting used unused. So we covered up with that, and then we carefully grab a corner. I'm sorry that this really doesn't show well on camera. So we carefully grab it, peel off the peel, and put it away, line this back up, and first thermal pad is done. We can already have one memory chip covered, so let's peel that, peel the plastic on it, because if you want thermal transfer to be done, which is the thing that you want, you can't have any bit of plastic on the thermal pad. It's the same thing with like coolers and so on. If you like buy an aftermarket cooler and you forget to take off that plastic peel where it says remove before before installation, yeah. Alright, so next one we're going to need a bit thicker. That was a clean cut. So we then put it on, measured that we need to cut it off roughly right there. So we cut it off, put this small piece aside because we'll need it later for the memory. And then we just unpeel one side. Maybe already lift up one of the corners on the opposite side. Already, so we don't have to. Oh my god. Alright, well, let's just place it on. And let's peel the corner right off. Because you have to pay attention because it's right here on this VRAM heat, on the long one I'm trying to put on, that's the power delivery thermal pad. You can tell how they're sticky, which is actually kind of good because that at least shows that they'll stick to both components, the heatsink and the heatsink's area right here and the screw area, which also have to keep in mind not to cover up the screw holes. So that's covered. So now we need to cover up the memory. So considering that this is kind of like a strange square cutout, yeah, I have to freaking sacrifice this to make it the right size. Putting on like a bigger thermal pad won't like do much of a difference. It's just that I just don't want it like catching dust out of the outside. So then stick it down, and on to the next ones. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4. So how roughly long would that piece would have to be? You could like in theory like recycle some of these pieces if you're running low on your thermal pad. Like you can just like place them on. Like I've seen some people do it, but honestly, if you have like this kind of a sheet of thermal pad, I think you're fine. So I'm using like my freaking measuring so I don't have to waste much. So now we can cut it close to the edge, and I'm gonna actually try and peel off all 4 of them at the exact same time. Look at that. One big piece. And static electricity. Static electricity is in theory bad to components, but I'm more or less like a grounded person because I'm like touching certain surfaces to like ground myself. Because my laptop's freaking frame and so on is like made out of steel or something. So I can like keep myself grounded. Alright, time to get the other corner off somehow. Oh god dang it, come on. Just separate already. So we cut one off, place it down. We cut the other one off, place it down. We cut one more, line it up, place it down. You could actually just like put like one big like how it's like right here, but I'm like trying to be like civil, I suppose, even though there's no reason for it. Like for example, I have like this one last final piece. I'm not gonna freaking cut it down to size. I'm just gonna cut one big piece. Pull off one side. Trying to get the other side. Get the other side. Pull it off. So we do it like that then, and then we remove all the old ones off of the cooler because that's the whole point of this, to replace these. And you can, oh my god, freaking, you can tell how freaking brutal they are, that they just don't want to come off, and they just come off like in shards. Like they're just coming off like right this, like right now, like right that, like this. If a thermal pad is doing this, it means it's old and time replace it. You can tell yourself how many excuses you want not to do it, but trust me, if you kill your card, no one's to blame but yourself at that point. So alright, time to move on to the thermal paste. And honestly, most people would probably just use a syringe, but honestly, I think that just looks satisfying. It's kind of like freaking, and the consistency is like freaking Nutella. So I'm using like kind of like a spudger, and now I'm gonna carefully cover the card's die, which is, this is what it's called. It's not like the shiny part or whatever. It's called the die, which is like important. It's like the head of the operation. The memory is the thing that allows you to, well, display the games while the freaking GPU. Honestly, I don't even know how to describe it. Most people would also like put just like a tiny bit in the middle and just call it a day. Honestly, I kind of disagree with this situation because that tactic is used on CPUs that have like heat spreaders. Like I like copper like squares on top, while this doesn't have a copper square. It's all like silicon. And then we just line up the wires that need to be reconnected back. Some graphics cards actually have thermal pads on the bottom, but clearly looking through the back plate, like I can literally see through here, there's nothing there. It's all cosmetic. So we're gonna flip this cooler over and we're gonna line up the screws. I'm gonna actually move it over like right here so the IO is over the disk, and then we can screw it down. This graphics card uses the 1 mm thick thermal pads. Some use 2.5, maybe even now 3 mm, which is kind of like an issue since I kind of know where to get 1 mils and 2 mils, but no 3 mm thermal pads. Like you can get them somewhere, but then they're like crazy expensive because you have to buy like a whole foot, 1 foot by 1 foot square for like 20 or 30 bucks, and then you only just need like only a couple of centimeters. And you can also tell if the thermal pads are actually like fresh compared to like the old ones. The old ones wouldn't need pressure to be like screwed on and so on. It's because they're already like flat, while versus these ones are like fresh, and these ones need to be compressed with the screws, and you can actually feel the screws compressing it down, that it actually makes a difference. And there we go, it's done. We've replaced the thermal paste and thermal pads on this GTX 1070. Alright, and before I get like over 1 billion comments in my YouTube section, what is this for? Why would someone have to learn this? It's because some people just don't understand that a graphics card performs badly due to the fact that it overheats. They constantly think it's old and it can't run games. While, for example, this 1070 is just as good as a 1660 or 1660 Ti in some games. But well, it honestly just makes me kind of like kind of surprised that people don't know that you need to replace thermal paste on a CPU, which I might do a separate video on later. And people don't know that you need to replace the thermal paste on a graphics card. The thermal pads especially. Like you can literally even see maybe right here, you can see how the new ones are like squished. Like you can see them like squished down now actually properly, rather than before when they were like meh, just chilling there that you could have moved them with your finger, while right now you couldn't. So yeah, also that concludes this top-down video for the first time. So yeah, hope you all enjoy, and comment if you want to maybe see part 2 where I do this on a CPU. Replacing the thermal pads, and maybe on a motherboard thermal pad. Oh man, what am I even saying? It's thermal paste on the CPU and thermal pads on the motherboard. Anyways, thank you all for your attention. Peace out for now. Bye.